Welcome back to Tech Pulse, your go-to show where we break down the latest breakthroughs in science and technology, making them not just digestible, but actually exciting. I'm Zaper.
And I'm Puck. Think of me as your front row seat to curiosity. I'll ask the sharp questions and challenge the details so you don't have to. Oh, and quick reminder, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this with a friend who geeks out about science as much as we do.
Today's headline isn't just big, it's urgent. Scientists are warning that the Amazon's so-called flying rivers, invisible highways of atmospheric moisture, are weakening. And this isn't some abstract theory. It's a system that literally pumps water across South America, and it's breaking down because of deforestation.
Let's break this down. The Amazon rainforest doesn't just sit there being lush and green. It actually acts like a gigantic water pump. Here's how. Billions of trees absorb water from the soil and then release it back into the air through a process called evapotranspiration. All that moisture forms streams of vapor that travel westward across the continent. Scientists coined the term flying rivers to describe these massive invisible flows.
And get this, up to 50% of rainfall in the western Amazon near the Andes depends on the system. That's half of the water cycle in that region relying on the forest literally breathing water back into the sky.
Exactly. But here's the danger. Relentless deforestation in Brazil is cutting into this system. Trees are disappearing at the deforestation front, and without them, the pump weakens. That means moisture doesn't make it across to Peru, Bolivia, or even Argentina.
The seasonal timing makes it worse. During the dry months, when the forest needs that water the most, the flying rivers are at their weakest because that's when the forested areas they pass over are already reduced. It's like cutting the water line right when you're most thirsty.
And the consequences, historic droughts. We're talking about rivers like the Solimões and Madeira dropping to record lows in 2024. Indigenous communities were stranded, crops failed, fishing seasons collapsed. This isn't hypothetical. It's happening right now.
Plus, there's the cross-border nightmare. Peru can protect its forests all it wants, but if Brazil keeps slashing theirs, the water vapor never even makes it to Peru. It's a shared ecosystem, and one country's actions spill over to their neighbors whether they like it or not.
Let's not forget the big picture. The Amazon's 400 billion trees release 20 billion tons of water into the air daily. That's moisture affecting weather patterns for 670 million people across Latin America. If we lose that, scientists warn rainfall in agricultural regions as far as Argentina could drop by 40%.
And sure, Brazil reported a 30.6% reduction in deforestation last year, the lowest in 9 years. But with climate change accelerating, that may not be enough to stop the Amazon from tipping into a savanna ecosystem.
All right, that's the science. But now it's time for our takes. And I'm going to say it straight. I think we are past the point of incremental solutions. Reducing deforestation by 30% sounds great on paper, but it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Unless there's an immediate, radical halt to deforestation across all Amazon countries, the flying rivers collapse. Period.
See, and that's where I push back, Zaper. I get the urgency, but your radical halt argument doesn't work in the real world. Brazil's economy relies on agriculture, cattle ranching, and exports. You can't just pull the plug without devastating local economies. The better play is scaling sustainable practices, carbon markets, and reforestation programs. You don't fix this by screaming, "Stop everything now."
But Puck, you're missing the scale. If the Amazon tips into savanna, the agricultural regions you're defending lose up to 40% of their rainfall. That's catastrophic. What's worse, pulling back now or letting the entire agricultural backbone of South America collapse? But halting everything overnight is political suicide. You need cooperation. And cooperation comes from incentives, not ultimatums. Build stronger international funding, pay Brazil for carbon credits, and make it profitable to keep trees standing. If you don't tie it to economics, it fails.
Economics don't trump physics. The water cycle doesn't wait for market incentives to scale. Nature sets the deadline, not us.
And yet, if you don't get buy-in from governments and local farmers, your deadline means nothing because the trees keep falling. You want urgency, I want strategy. That's the real tension here.
And that's why this debate matters. So, to wrap this up, flying rivers aren't just a poetic metaphor. They're a planetary-scale life support system, and they're faltering.
And whether you think the solution is radical halts or pragmatic economic incentives, one thing is clear: ignoring this problem is not an option.
That's all for today's episode of Tech Pulse. If this made you think or made you argue in your head, hit like, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe so you never miss a moment of the future.
I'm Puck.
And I'm Zaper. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time on Tech Pulse.